Before the forgiveness, we need to talk about wounds and trauma. So I went through a lot of traumas in my life, but they don't define me, and they don't define you either. But they are there. Can't deny that it happened, but you can change it in your mind. So there's a couple of things. Something I learned from Eliyahu this week, you can go back and do a meditation, and if you have the names book that we did, you can go back and pick the meditation and actually change the past and tell yourself it never happened. Because there's a book that a psychologist once told me to read called The Body Keeps the Score, which is a great book. And psychologically, it's true. The body keeps the score. But we have a choice. Do we want the body to keep the score, or do we want to release it? Every trauma, every wound gives us a lesson. Accepting the wound and accepting the trauma is the first step. Yes, it happened. Now, there's something you can do, which is you can make a timeline. You can make a timeline of all the traumas you went through in your life. Everybody has more than one, probably. Put that down. Write it down. After that, go through each one and see what lessons you learned from it and how you came out stronger. Because there is the acceptance of the trauma. We can blame our parents, and we can blame our friends, and we can blame our husbands, and we can blame our wives, and we can blame the world, and we can blame even ourselves. But that's not going to help us. Blaming ourselves is not taking responsibility. There's a difference between going through a trauma and blaming ourselves for it, and going through a trauma and taking responsibility. It's easy to let the trauma control your life. It's easy to say, I'm like this because I went through this. But for how long? For how long do we want to suffer? We always say there's a difference between pain and suffering. Pain is something that we go through. We go through it for growth because, unfortunately, we're creatures of habit as human beings and we don't grow if there's no challenges. Suffering is a choice. And that's where the wound and the trauma comes in. So going to the root of the problem, going to the root of the trauma will help us understand why. Why is a very important question. I have to tell you, sometimes between me and Eliyahu, he asks me why. And it took me a long time to understand what the why is. The why isn't, why are you doing this physically? The why is the root? What is the root of what you're doing? Why are you doing it? And if it's the trauma, that's the root. If it's the trauma, that's the fuel, then we need to look inside and see, okay, I accept it. I understand it. I'm going to take the lessons from it, but it doesn't serve me anymore. It's not a shield anymore. It's not a protection anymore. It's just blocking me. So we can change the narrative because we have the power to influence our own mind. And this is where there's a difference between psychology and spirituality. And I'm not against psychology. I've been to psychologists. I know a lot of good psychologists. I'm not against it. But there has to be a limit because psychologists will take you back to the trauma. And then they'll want you to stay there and figure it out. Spirituality is acknowledging the trauma and making the choice to change it. The point is, we can change the narrative. We have the power to influence our own mind. So if the body keeps the score, the mind can change it. The brain is a muscle. It's like playing tennis. It's muscle memory. Whatever you train your brain to believe, that's what you're going to believe. So again, choose to remember that it never happened. What does that mean? Physically, it happened. But we've learned in Kabbalah, we learned in spirituality that we can go back and change reality. So it's not that it never happened from a denial point of view. It's that it never happened because we can choose a different narrative. We can train our brains to choose a different narrative. And so not letting something control you, but letting you control your life. And that's where we can control our trauma. And now I'm going to put the mic back over to Eliyahu.
Thank you. I enjoyed very much.